Hi folks, welcome to our last YouTube video for spring semester for interpersonal communications online. I am recording this on Monday morning, April 28th, and so that puts us, if you look at our schedule here, that puts us right at week 16. We are fully in the home stretch now. We have 2 weeks left of our semester. So I'm just really want to encourage you all to do your very, very best work. Really take your time as you take this last quiz and as you are writing your film analysis to really take your time and demonstrate all that you have learned all semester. So here we go at week 16. This week we're going to be doing chapter 12, which is all about communication climate. This chapter kind of pulls together all of the concepts that we've learned this semester, and it talks about how everything that we've learned from perception to verbal communication to nonverbal communication to identity, how all that kind of comes together and creates a climate for our relationships. And important to note too, the difference between climate and overall weather is climate is weather patterns or communication patterns over a long term, where weather is day to day. You and I both know that in some of our relationships we have days that are not so great. Maybe we're crabby with that other person, or we're very negative toward that other person. But it's that overall climate. So how many of those days do we string together? So even if we have a bad day in one relationship or a more negative day, if that's not the norm for the relationship, if overall the relationship is positive and supportive, that becomes then the climate for the relationship. So this chapter is all about how to build a supportive, positive climate in our relationships. Interesting too, this chapter talks a lot about your personal or intimate relationships, but these same sort of concepts can be applied to your work relationship, your family relationships, your friend relationships. So there really is a wide application to the concepts. One of the researchers that you're going to be introduced to in this chapter is John Gottman. John Gottman is kind of an interesting person in that he's taken the soft science of communication and relationships and he's really brought it down to a scientific level. You will see and read, and hopefully you'll watch some of the videos that are linked up in this chapter of John Gottman, but you will read about how he's one of the few people that can interview a couple and within a 94 to 95% rate can be accurate in predicting whether or not this couple will be divorced based on the communication behaviors that he's seeing between the couple. So here he's taken this very soft science area of communication relationships and he's really brought it down to a scientific level. Here are the markers that we can look at. So hopefully you will enjoy chapter 12. Again, I think it's a wonderful kind of capstone chapter that brings together everything that we've learned so far this semester. Please remember that you do need to take quiz number 12, your last quiz, by this Friday, which will be May 2nd. And then as we head into our last final week here, week 17, which will be next week, you will be working on and hopefully completing your intercultural film analysis. And this is due by 11:59 p.m., saved in Word, uploaded by Friday, May 9th. Remembering too that this is your in place of your final exam. We are not going to go back and have a final exam over all 12 chapters. Instead, you are writing this paper, which really is a capstone project that gives you the opportunity to show me all that you have learned or demonstrate all that you have learned this semester and your ability to take these concepts and ideas and theories that we've studied throughout the semester and apply them to films, examples from films. Also note, please, that there is an extra credit course survey due, and I do have an error here. It does say 10 extra credit points. It's actually 5 extra credit points, and you'll see that in the drop box. I also have directions for how to complete this on our course homepage, but it's due at the same time as your intercultural film analysis on May 9th. So when you drop your film analysis, just kind of remember in your mind, oh, that's right, there's 5 extra credit points too. And I know 5 extra credit points at this point in the semester may not really sound like a whole lot or sound like something that's very important, but it is one of the things that I see as I'm finishing up and tallying final grades is sometimes those 5 points can really make a difference. They can bump somebody up or down a grade. So please do take the time. And I think from my own perspective, it's a wonderful chance to get feedback from you on the course, what you liked, what you didn't like, what was challenging to you. And I really do integrate then those suggestions into my next semester. So I'm going to click my documents here. I am going to go over and talk about the intercultural film analysis assignment. What the directions are is to apply vocabulary and concepts presented in our class to communication interactions in your chosen film. And if we just scooch down a little bit here, you see these are the films that are on the list to watch. So you may watch The King's Speech, The Help, Social Network, The Best Exotic Marigold Hotel, or Silver Linings Playbook. So you may choose one of those 5 films to watch, and then what you're going to do, the outcome here is to write a 4 to 5 page double-spaced analysis paper that includes a minimum of one concept from each of those 6 areas. And I have up here too, and you can read this on your own, but this is really your chance to demonstrate how much you've learned this semester. I'm looking for you to apply principles and concepts that you've learned, analyze your own reactions in order to understand your perceptions of the film. Express yourself with clarity, style, and effectiveness, and develop and use good standards of college-level writing and analysis. A superior film analysis is an expression of your thoughts and emotions. It's thoughtful, it's honest, it's careful, it's well composed, it's well reasoned, and supported by course concepts. This is kind of an important note here that there is no need to provide a film or plot summary. I've watched all of these films multiple times, so I don't need an overall film plot. But what I want you to do instead is to choose particular scenes that you found interesting, analyze those scenes using this course concepts. Please note though, if for some reason you do choose to take some information from an outside source, from a website, from a review of the movie or anything, remember that it must be cited using APA citation or it's considered plagiarism, because anything that you get from an outside source is not your own work, so you do have to cite it. But please note there's no need for that. This is all about you and your analysis of the film using concepts that we learned in class. So there is no need to have outside sources cited in this film. So just wanted to point that out. I have had students who have written film analysis that were very good, but they included a lot of things from outside reviewers, and they did not cite it with APA, and unfortunately their paper failed because they were using somebody else's ideas and concepts without citing them. Okay, so what you're going to do is, of course, follow guidelines for college level writing, including a thesis statement, full paragraphs, transition, introductory, and closing paragraphs. Now, if you look at those things and say, well, I'm not sure what a thesis statement is, I'm not sure what a full paragraph looks like, or transition, or introductory or closing paragraphs, please don't panic, but instead make sure that you take the time to go into one of the learning resource centers on campus. They will help you with all of that. Remembering again, a thesis statement is a one-sentence summary statement that usually is included in the introductory paragraph that tells the reader, here's what this paper is all about. This, the following paragraphs are an analysis of scenes from The Help, and these paragraphs will include these concepts in an analysis of these scenes. So something like that that tells the reader, here's what's coming. Remember, transitions are between your paragraphs that tells the reader, we're leaving the area of conflict and perception and now we're going into nonverbal and language. And so make sure you have an introductory paragraph that opens up and introduces the reader to what's going to be included in your paper, and then a closing paragraph that just kind of has some of your closing thoughts, ideas about what you watched in the film. So your paper is going to include at least one concept from each of these areas: conflict, perception, nonverbal, language, listening, and communication competence. Remember, communication competence is from chapter 1. Remember the very end of chapter 1. You did talk about it when you did your instruction manual, so hopefully you still have that. And remember, listening is covered in this last chapter that we are doing this week, chapter 12. It's all a part of communication climate. So remember that, make sure that you do that. Remember, language is also entitled verbal communication in your textbook. So you want one concept from each of these areas. Which concepts you choose is completely up to you. However, I would encourage you I would encourage you to take your analysis to a deeper level. Don't just apply the general concept of conflict. For example, in your paper. Instead, really look at what type of conflict is it? What type of conflict style am I seeing? What is the source of the conflict? Same with nonverbal communication or language or listening. Really take it to a lower depth or deeper depth than just these basic concepts. I'm just giving you the basic area of conflict. You choose the specific concept that you want to apply there. So for each of the film examples that you're going to analyze, here's what I want you to do. And we've kind of done this all semester long. We did it in your instruction manual. We did it in your paired interviews. You did it in your discussion postings. But I want you to identify an example from the film, briefly describe the scene. Again, you don't need to go into huge detail because I've seen these films multiple times. Cite a text example that relates to this, so making sure to include the text definition and page number or chapter section number. And here's the important part. Make sure that you analyze the film example and demonstrate your understanding of how this concept relates. So I want your own thoughts and your own insights. So in this scene, blah, 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 blah. You describe it. This relates to this this concept, and then here's where you say, this is how and why I feel this concept relates to this film example. I do want you to highlight the course concept, definition, and page number in some way. You can do it in bold, you can do it in italics, you can do it in a different color. So that's the basic format of the film analysis that you're writing. Here's the grading rubric, and I just want to kind of pay close attention here. It is worth 50 points, so it's a lot of points. In the whole scope of the semester, this paper itself could move you almost a grade and a half, depending on how well you do. So an A paper of 45 to 50 is going to have 10 to 12 clearly referenced examples from the film, and your analysis is going to apply 10 to 12 concepts, making sure at least one concept from each of the 6 areas above to the examples. The analysis, and this is the important part, is going to fully demonstrate your understanding and your ability to apply course knowledge and information. Again, please note that you do need to make sure you double check for grammar and spelling and mechanical errors. And again, the folks in the Learning Resource Center are more than happy to help you with this. Because this is such a very large point counter, I really do want to encourage you to get an early start on this paper. Really take your time. Again, one of the things I have up here in the directions is it's an expression of your thoughts and your emotions. You can't sit down and write this type of a paper in just a couple hours. It really needs to be thoughtful. It needs to be careful in the way that it's constructed. It needs to be well composed, well reasoned, supported by course concepts. So this is a paper. It's meant to be your large capstone project. I really do want to see your very, very best work here. And I don't want it to be rushed. I don't want it to be something that you realize, oh my gosh, I got to get this done in a night. I want you to start writing now. Take your time, really think through the examples and your analysis of the examples, and then make sure that you leave time in there to go down to the Learning Resource Center. Have somebody help you, especially if you're not sure about college level comp writing, if you're not sure what an introductory paragraph includes, or a thesis statement, or a transition. Please make sure that you use those resources that are available. I am happy to take a look at your rough draft of your paper once you get it done. I am going to ask that you get it to me the Wednesday before that paper is due. Paper is due on May 9th. So if you can make sure that you get it to me, that Wednesday, I think would be May 7th, that would be great. Please remember that I have 210 students this semester that are enrolled in interpersonal communication, either in an online or a face-to-face format. So I have lots of papers that hopefully, and I really do want to encourage you to do this, that hopefully I'll be reviewing. So please, give me as much time as you possibly can to take a look at it and give you some feedback.